So people think insurance is insurance, car insurance is car insurance, so the coverage is the coverage. No, you're buying a service. That's like saying every Italian restaurant is the same. Oh, chicken parmigiana at the Olive Garden is no different than my favorite restaurant. No, they're not the same.
We're doing this? Yeah, kid. Welcome back to another episode of Smells Like Happy with Handsome. I'm your host, Charles Weinraub, formerly Captain Permit, but we still love him. 516-513-8838. Obviously, this podcast and every other podcast is sponsored by... There you go. Yo, we're like, you feel it coming together, right? Sauerzola, Cardinal Financial. You know him. If you don't know him, you should know him. We love him. Does an absolutely amazing job. Him and his team underwrite every single deal that comes through because nobody wants to be 3 months into a contract and find out that the person buying your house is not qualified to purchase a loaf of bread.
For sure.
So now we don't have that problem anymore. Reach out to him. Hopefully you guys were at Wintervention. It was absolute madness. I'm sure there's going to be a summer and fall intervention. Definitely check it out. All right, obviously, if you have a house that smells like cat pee, dated from the 1960s, 6 inches of mold on the wall, you know I'm quick, I'm easy.
You want to buy it. You're good time and you want to buy it.
516-777 sold. All right, so we're into it. Mr. J.R. Orenstein.
What's up?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Very creative, man. So I was thinking, I was like, you know what? I haven't had anybody dealing with insurance, and your marketing is paying off. It's in my face 24/7. You know, whatever I sign on, there you are. The bubble's on the top of Instagram, or it's going through, and you're in your car, the kids are in the back, you're rapping about insurance or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we got to get them on there. Because insurance is one of those things, as I was joking about with you before, that is an absolute waste of money until you need it.
Right.
Like every month you're paying it, you're like, this is bullshit. And hopefully, God willing, you never need it.
Right.
Right? But when you do need it, you need to make sure that you set it up properly and you have the right insurance, which I feel is an issue.
Yeah.
I myself having a strange insurance situation recently where I put, this is just my own tale, I put builder's risk on a house. There was a post-possession and the people were supposed to be out in a week. And the night before, the guy's cooking in the kitchen and the house burns down.
Yikes.
Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now they are fighting me on it. And I didn't realize that I was supposed to do something else because I'm not an insurance expert.
Right. Yeah.
So I think it's important that we talk about all different types of insurance, especially the ones that kind of you see every day, where you see like kind of like the pitfalls or the tripping points where people, you know, should have done one thing and didn't. And as a result, because I'm sure there's commonalities.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's like certain things that come up all the time. And if they weren't insured with you originally and they were coming from somebody else or whatever it is, they weren't set up right.
Yeah, well, first, nobody wants to pay for insurance, but everybody wants to be covered. Okay?
Yes.
All the time.
Sounds about right.
And I totally get it. The most common request in our business is, you know, I just want something cheap. Can I get it? Can you beat my price? And it's always this battle, right? And that's where it starts off. I even among my team, I said, listen, every quoting conversation essentially starts with them having 100% price factor.
Yeah.
And our job is to dwindle that number down to show where the value is, because most of the time people don't even know what they're paying for.
Yes.
So they're saying, oh, give me the same thing, but can it be cheaper? And it's like, all right, well, what do you have? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to be covered or not, right? So we have to go out of our way to educate our customers. Some of them just don't want to be educated.
Yes.
So I know this sounds like really bad, but sometimes it's kind of like, you know, with, I know you don't have kids, but with if you've got a baby and you're trying to feed them and it's like, oh, here's the airplane or here's the choo-choo train. Like that's literally what we do with our customers, because they don't want to talk about insurance. They don't want to deal with coverages. They just want the cheapest thing. And we have to find a way to make that conversation digestible.
Yeah.
So that they can just make a smarter decision for themselves. We don't look to tell them what to do, although if they say, what should I do, we will advise them. But we want to educate them. And normally, 9 out of 10 times, once they actually understand what their options are, they make smarter decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a matter of like slowing them down, because everybody in New York wants everything like yesterday.
Yeah.
I can relate. So when I was in the body shop business, people would call me like how much it is to paint your car, which is physically impossible to tell over the phone, right? And then they would come in, they're just like, just give me this. But they have absolutely no idea what they're getting or what they even currently have.
Yep.
So it's a matter of, and it's interesting, we'll talk about this also from the standpoint of your in-house team, right? So if you have somebody, a salesperson that's very good, very experienced, I feel like when someone came into Mako, they were coming in for a $300 paint job. They didn't want to leave it now, and they want to think about it. They ended up leaving it, spending $1,500 on average.
Right.
And again, they picked something that was significantly more expensive or better quality than what it is. But for me, it was annoying because I had done 10,000 of these things. So when someone came in, I'm like, fuck, man, we got to do this. Like, we're going to sit here for an hour. You're going to say all these things. At the end of the day, you're still going to leave it and spend the $1,500. So kind of like, how do you keep your people motivated when they're probably in the same boat? Like, okay, you're going to tell me you just want a price. I'm going to have to go through this entire spiel with you. You're going to be on the phone for 30 to 45 minutes. I'm going to educate you. You're finally going to realize, and you're going to spend more money, which is the proper coverage, and you're going to thank me for it. How do you do that?
Well, that's the job. I mean, one of the things that is very common is that a salesperson will be derailed by the customer. They'll let the customer take control with the, just, no, I don't care. Just give me the cheapest thing. Just give this to me. And we go out of our way to say, that's not how we work.
Yeah.
So my thing is, just like a doctor would never prescribe without doing their own diagnosis, we are going to make sure we go through the coverages with you. And if you are saying, as a customer, yeah, I don't care, just give me the price, I don't care, then we're not going to be disrespectful, but we're going to we're going to get off that phone pretty quickly. Maybe we'll email something to them, but we're walking away because they're not seeing the value in what we want to do, which is we want to do it right. I'm not just trying to save somebody money. The goal is always to give a much better value. But we have to go through, because we take responsibility. So every single time that someone has a claim, car accident, fire, whatever it is, they are not going to remember a conversation from 3.5 years ago where they said, can you beat my price?
Yes.
They're going to blame us for not giving them the coverage. So when you're on our side of the table and you know that you're going to be taking that phone call of the, what do you mean I'm not covered? It gives you even more incentive to say, no, we're going to talk about it, and I'm even going to document what we spoke about. But it works. So it ultimately, the client will get better coverage. We actually end up, from a sales standpoint, doing better because the more we speak to them, the more we educate them, the more they respect that, and then they end up buying more, and then they stop thinking of it as some sort of apples to apples game, and then we've save our ass, God forbid something happens down the line that we spoke about it, whether they chose to do the right thing or not. So it's just a part of our process. We don't even think about it.
So I kind of want to talk about, how you design your business, train your people, and motivate them. And the reason why I'm saying this is to give credit to you. We obviously do business together. You insure things for me. I refer you to people. Your staff does an excellent job.
Thank you.
So, and then previously, years ago, we had a conversation about how you basically had a training and SOPs to set up your business so that you weren't a slave to it, which is a lot of, probably like 90% of small business owners' issue.
Yeah.
Is like you think you own a business, but what you actually do is own a job. I myself has been a slave to this and other businesses.
Yeah.
It's only now that I'm removing myself because I realize, hey, this is what I have to do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, and it might be a great paying job, but if you can't step away from your business and have it operate without you, it's not a business, it's a job.
Yeah. Everything changed for me when I read the book, The E-Myth.
Oh yeah, I read that. The E-Myth Revisited, I guess
Yes.
was the second one I read.
Exactly, Michael Gerber. So that was the first time it really clicked with me. I had already experienced, my first year as an agent, I had 3 team members. I was paying them, but I was paying them by taking out a loan. I didn't have enough money coming in to pay them.
Wow.
So it was a lot of pressure. And so not only did I have to make sure that we had the sales and I was able to pay them, but I was also not experienced enough to put in enough training with them. So as I would get a referral, I'd get a lead, I would do everything myself.
Yeah.
Right? And I kept on doing it myself. I'm like, no one's going to sell it better than me, so I'm going to do it. I've got to get these numbers, and I had goals. I'm like, I have to hit these numbers, and if I give it to them, they're never going to sell it, so I'm going to do it myself. And I burned out. After that first year, we hit all the goals, but I was like, I can't continue like this. I can't be first one in, first one out, do the managing, do the training, do the selling. Like I couldn't do, and I couldn't grow that way.
No, it's impossible.
So So I did just, from being thrown into that fire, learn that I had to delegate and I had to put more time into training people to feed themselves, for sure. Then I read the E-Myth, which gave me even more perspective about.
How long ago was that?
That was probably, I'm going to say, maybe 6 or 7 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, I read that book about 15 years ago. That thing's been out for a while.
And it had put it in a way that I was like, man, it's so true. That most people open up a business because they were told, oh, you're really good at this. You should have your own shop. You should have your own place, right? But if you don't learn that you have to have generals on your team and you have to train people and you have to delegate, then you are always a slave and you just have a really crappy job. Because when you think about the hours that we put in, even just mental hours. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I wake up in the middle of the night like, oh, Jesus, I need to figure out a way that I can find out a list of all the people that filed permits for handicap ramps because we might be able to
Right.
And then you're giving yourself notes at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's sick.
Yeah. I can't turn it off.
Yep.
So it's always there. There is no, it's 5 p.m., it's 6 p.m., and now it's just, personal life.
No, it's not.
It doesn't happen.
It never ends.
It doesn't end, yeah.
So to go back to what you were saying before, because that's a gutsy move. You purchased an existing book of business, or you opened up just...
No. So no purchasing. Started, there's no purchase. So I started off, I did have some clients that I inherited a small amount. Nothing that could even pay for,
What's your background? So you've been in insurance for how many years?
I got in 2003, so 20
years. Fuck, isn't that scary?
Yes.
When you can say you've been doing something for 20 years?
Yes.
Or known someone for 20 years?
Yes.
So high level kind of 60-second overview of how that happened, how you got into insurance.
It was not part of the plan. In fact, I thought I would never, ever, ever do it because my father did. Now, I did not take over. It's not a family business, completely separate. But because my father was in the insurance industry and me being extremely rebellious, I said there was no way in hell I'll ever do that. Mm-hmm. So I went into TV and film production out of
that's
school.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Makes sense now.
Yeah. And so out of school, I was a production assistant and wiggled my way onto Hollywood sets and TV shows.
No shit.
Network TV shows. Yeah.
In New York or
in New York?
West Coast? Okay.
Yeah. Jennifer Lopez with Made in Manhattan, and Jake Gyllenhaal and Dennis Quaid in Day After Tomorrow.
Nice.
Woody Allen movie.
What was the dream? Was the dream to write and produce or direct?
I at the time it was to be a TV producer.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a weird kid because I would listen to music and I'd be like, oh, that makes me think of this product. It would be the perfect song for this product. And then I would just write 30-second commercials, just for fun.
As a child?
Well, not as a child, but in college.
Okay.
On my free time. I'm listening to music in my dorm room and I'd just be like, oh, that'd be the perfect song for a soap commercial. And I'd write a soap commercial. And it would just go into my file. And I started writing all these scripts. I was an English major at the time. And I was taking every writing class. I loved it. And then I was like, I got to produce these things. These are just collecting dust. I want to see them actually happen. So I switched over to communications. And then you couldn't get me out of the TV studio. And all I did was just make videos. And I had a ball. And I loved it. So that's why I ended up going into the industry. But when I got into the industry, and then I started kind of schmoozing with directors and producers, and they explained to me their journey, I was like, okay, now I know for sure I don't want to be you.
Why is that?
Their story, I've said it a few times, I hesitate because I feel like I'm putting down kind of a job or an industry or something, but they're like, well, prepare to live in your parents' basement until you're 35, 40. When you do get a job, be prepared to not see your family. Be prepared to not know where your next gig is going to come from because you're kind of bouncing around from this and that and you're traveling all over. And I was just like, I kept on hearing all these stories and I'm like, shit, I want to be home for dinner. I want to coach my kids' ball games someday. I want to have that life. And what they were painting was so different that I was like, I realized I can't have the two. At least I came to that conclusion, right or wrong. And so I was like, I'm going to cut my losses because I'm going to end up going too deep into an industry that doesn't kind of match with the family life I wanted to have.
I got it. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, because a lot of people always come to me, different situations, they're like, hey, Charles, I want to do what you do. I want to flip houses. I want to do this.
Yeah.
And I'll ask them why. And typically it is because they feel like, oh, it's exciting or they can make money or whatever it is. And then I say to them, hey, listen, forget about all that other stuff. What kind of life do you want to have?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, I think everybody's decision for career should really start from what kind of life do you have? Like,
Yes.
how much money is enough? Do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids? How many hours do you want to work? You want to be at every kid's basketball game or whatever it is. What does your life look like? And then design your career around that.
Yeah, 100%. That was a big reason why I ultimately got into insurance, is because I realized, hey, if I'm really good at this, I can have normal hours. I paid my dues when I was single and then before I had kids. So I was able to build up a business that could be on not maybe 100% autopilot, but I built up enough of a foundation that now that I've got little ones, that it's not a big deal if I have to take a day off, a week off, weeks off if I have to, because I've structured it in a way.
So, and the powerful thing about insurance is, obviously at the beginning, it was very difficult. You were working your ass off, and I'm sure that you still do. But as long as you maintain relationships, like the majority of my business until this point has always come from relationships. Yeah. And I'm like, that's the best thing. If you network, you meet people, they like you, you maintain the relationships, the deals just come to you. So I didn't, at the beginning when I didn't have any money, I couldn't go out and market and do all these things, but I built relationships, spent the time, and then the deals flow in, and it cost me nothing. So with insurance, kind of, just as long as you're maintaining the relationships and the pricing is competitive, for the most part, it's residual. It's gonna keep coming in.
Yeah. The other factor though, Charles, is the competition. So insurance, one great aspect is you can't get a greater demand for a product because you legally have to have it.
Yep.
So that's an obvious plus. But comes with that demand is an enormous amount of competition because everybody knows that. Yeah. So, there's agents everywhere, brokers everywhere, and they're all essentially making the same exact promises. Come to me, it'll be quick and it'll be cheap. It's like every commercial, even if, all the big carriers, all their commercials are about saving money. Yeah. And they all do that because they know it's the only way to get someone to actually call. If the commercial was, give us a call, we'll be a little bit more money, but I promise it'll be a greater value. No one's ever they're never calling. So everyone's, cheap. So we have a lot of competition. So then it comes down to how do you stand out? And in my business, not that different than so many other businesses like yours or real estate or mortgages. Yeah, it's relationships for sure. And what is going to make you stand out? And obviously, you've seen that I've put in some effort to not follow kind of the more conservative, classic insurance, agent approach. Yeah. And it's not easy talking about insurance online every day. Lord knows my friends make fun of me all the time. They're like, my God, how much more insurance am I going to get in my feed? And all I say is, thanks for watching. If you're complaining about seeing me, that means the algorithm is working. That's what.
No, people say the same thing. They're like, listen, you post too much. I'm not even listening anymore. I'm like, you don't even have to listen to me. The only thing you have to do is see my face, because if there's an opportunity for me and you see my face, you're going to call me. Yeah. And then the people that are interested in learning for a certain period of time are going to watch, and when they feel like they've absorbed everything or as much as they're looking to absorb, they'll move on. But the unfortunate reality with everything being on your phone, which is a good transition, is that someone doesn't need you until they need you, right? Yeah. And then when they do, they're going to go to their phone because everybody's just on their phone all the time. And if you don't pop up, with one of those skits with your wife or with your family or whatever, they're calling somebody else. Yeah. And that's the reality of it.
Yeah, and it works. I get DMs on a daily basis. And a lot of times it's someone who's not a client or even asking to be a client, frankly, that's just asking for advice. And, I'm not the guy that's going to say, well, I'm not your agent, so I'm not advising you. I'll help anybody. I love it. Those are actually some of my favorite moments in my career is when someone reaches out saying, I'm in a bind, I don't know what to do. And they're reaching out to me because they trust me just from, hardly even knowing me. Mm-hmm. And then I help them. They're like, oh my God, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I love that. That's as good as, a sale or anything like
Yeah,
that.
it's a rewarding feeling.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. And it comes up a lot because everyone's got insurance, everyone's getting into car accidents, everyone's had some sort of mess in their home. So these types of things just come up a lot, So it's good to be there. It feels good. It's a good part about what I do.
So before we go into kind of the marketing and branding side, which you've been doing exceptionally well, I'm curious on the insurance side just to throw things at people because, what do you think are kind of, the one or the two or the three important things about insurance or kind of pitfalls that you see people falling into in regards to insurance that they don't know and you see it over and over and over again and it's a problem?
So for one is asking for quotes without actually reviewing the coverages and knowing what's available. It's just the biggest one. It's by far the biggest one. People are asking for proposals and they're only looking at the number on the bottom of the page without any regard for, well, what do these things mean? What do all these coverages mean? So that's a massive mistake. That's what you're asking for. So what are the common mistakes, let's say, a customer makes?
Yeah, I mean, it could be something like that, or you could just be like, and I'll make something up. Like, people don't understand what gap coverage is. They get a car, they don't take the gap coverage. All of a sudden, the thing gets totaled, and they're out 10 grand.
Okay.
Or whatever, whatever it is that you see on a daily basis where you feel like, I really wish people knew about this. Or I wish they did like what you were just saying. Hey, read your coverage, take 30 seconds. I know it's like reading stereo instructions and there's nothing exciting about it, but
Yeah.
it's vital otherwise.
Yeah. I don't even tell people read anything. What I say is speak to someone that you trust. If they're good at what they do, they can say in 20 seconds, explain a complex coverage so that you understand it. And so it's really simple as, hey, if this really bad thing happens, how would you like to be taken care of? Do you want us to pay for all of it? Do you want to pay for some of it? Or you want us to pay for all of it? Okay, I'll make sure that we got it done. Like it's not that complicated. Other, let's say, mistakes that a customer might make or assumptions that they make, people hear full coverage and they think, oh, I'm fully covered, when full coverage is not actually a real thing. It's just a made up, it's vernacular, but it's not insurance terminology. There is no such thing as a full coverage.
What do you mean by that?
So people say, oh, I got full coverage on my car. And what they're really saying is I've got collision and comprehensive coverage. I've got physical damage coverage for my car. But full coverage makes it, some people will think that means, oh, no matter what happens, I'm covered. It's like, no. Like, so for example, if going home today, you tap someone from behind and they get injured, okay, you've got liability coverage. That's lawsuit protection. Well, it's not either you have it or you don't. It's how much do you have?
Yeah.
So a lot of people, when they're getting quotes, they just give me the cheap thing. I want this. They'll get state minimum coverage of in New York, $25,000 if they're sued for someone's injuries. Okay?
So this is a good point. What do you? Because really, and the ironic thing is, when you add up the premiums on the better coverages, it's like, it's not that big of a deal.
It's not that big a deal.
Like a couple $100 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So what do you, in regards to coverages, what do you recommend for people?
So I would say as a starting point, let's say on car insurance, no one should have less than $100,000 for bodily injury. So that means, I'll give you an example.
Okay.
All right? So let's say, let's say that you're driving home, like I said, and you tap some Mercedes from behind. They slam on the brakes, you hit them from behind, right? They get out of the car, they're holding their neck, and they're hurt, okay? If you get sued for, let's say, $100,000, in New York, that's a small lawsuit.
Yeah, that's like,
right? That's small. But we've got people driving around with only 25,000.
Yeah.
So if you get sued for that small 100,000, but your policy only has 25,000, the insurance company is going to pay the 25,000, and you're going to have to come out of pocket 75,000. So my recommendation is a minimum of 100,000, and that's considered average. Okay, but now if you're a homeowner, which on Long Island, practically makes you a millionaire, right? So, if you're a homeowner and you've got assets and you make a decent living, all right, you need way more than 100,000. 100,000 is nowhere near enough. Once an attorney, if you do enough damage, once a personal injury attorney, these guys that you see on TV, call us, we'll get you paid, all that, right? Once they find out that you own a home or that you've got a good job, you really think that they're going to just say, oh, the kids only, they only have 25,000. I guess we can only sue them for 25,000, Gloria. No, they're not.
they go for whatever they can get.
They're going for everything they can. That's how they get paid.
So basically, let's paint like a sad but real scenario. You get into a car accident for whatever reason. You're texting. You're looking at TikTok while you're driving. All stuff that happens every day.
Right. Never. Yeah.
And you accidentally blow a stop sign and T-bone somebody, and they have real injuries. Like,
Yeah.
they're not working, broken leg, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and maybe they were a lineman for PSE&G, and now they're done.
Yeah.
You know, you could easily 2, 3, 4, 5. That could be a $5 million thing. If they're the head of a household, if they're 30 years old, if they have 3 kids, whatever
That's
it
right.
is.
That's right.
Now, if you have $100,000 or $25,000 worth of coverage, they're coming for everything you have.
Yeah. Including your wages. So New York, they can garnish your wages up to 25%. So now
Forever.
un-
Until they're
it's
repaid.
yeah. So think about, like, I mean, I have this conversation. My team has this conversation all the time. You know, you're paycheck to paycheck, right? You're struggling to pay your bills. Your lifestyle is just, you know, is paycheck to paycheck. What do you think it's going to be like when you're only getting 75% of that paycheck,
Yeah.
right? Because you
And
want
I'm
it
pretty
to-
sure they tax you on the 100%, but they don't tax the 25%. So if you're making 100 grand a year, they take 25,000 out to give to that person, but they're taxing you on the whole 100 grand.
that part I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Let's ask Lou. Soriano.
That is it.
That's a good one. I don't know.
So, I mean, it makes sense. This conversation is making me want to go get an umbrella policy.
Yeah, you should have an umbrella policy.
So if you have any type of assets, like houses, rental properties, whatever it is,
Yeah.
I mean, when is enough enough? Like,
Well, just think of it like this. You know, when it comes to liability, that's just lawsuit protection, like we're saying. It really comes down to, what do you have to lose? Okay? Add up what you have in assets. That's technically what can be taken from you. So now you are deciding, do I want to make myself completely untouchable, or am I willing to self-insure for all of it or a portion? That's the decision that you make. If someone's worth $5 million, maybe they say, you know what, I only want a $2 million umbrella policy, plus the, you know, 250,000 that's on my car, so I've got 2.25. Fine, I'm okay. You know, if, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Klein, if that's what you want, I just want you to understand you are self-insuring for the rest. That's all, and that's your choice. So as long as you're educated, that's the decision that you make. But ultimately, you can lose whatever you have.
yeah, and I think that's something that people don't even think about. I myself, until we started having this conversation, I'm like, I think I need an umbrella policy. Like, you don't think about it.
Yeah.
Because if you're not using it, you don't think about it.
Yeah, and if you have a business, you should have a commercial umbrella policy, because that's completely different, right? Someone's going after Handsome, right? Then, you know, it's not personal, right? If
Yeah.
it's coming from business, that's a different lawsuit. So you've got being sued personally, and then you got being sued for business reasons. They're two different things, but
So, and I guess my follow-up question to that is, how do you know you're getting the right policy? And I guess the answer to that is, you have to make sure you're working with someone that you trust who's going to educate you to understand. Because, I mean, if you've ever read insurance documents, I'm sure you have, things can go a lot of different ways.
yeah, I'll tell you that, you know, in my content, I don't even like repeating myself. I just say it all the time. I can't help it. But I always say, yeah, if you don't have an agent that you know and trust, or you love and trust, hey, call me anytime. If your insurance agent or company, if that relationship was based on you saving money at the time, you have nobody.
Yeah.
You don't know who you're calling, and you have no idea who's going to take care of you. So I'll get really cheesy for a quick second. This is something that I was taught, and I echo it, which is, when you are choosing your insurance company, you are literally choosing your caretaker. You are choosing the person who's going to take care of you when something bad happens. That's why you're buying it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So you're not buying the bill, you're not buying the paper, you're buying a service when shit goes wrong. So choose wisely. So that can be a call center, all right?
Yeah.
With some nasty person who doesn't know you, who will never speak to you again, and frankly does not care about whether you get paid or not. Or it could be someone who lives with, you know, whose office is within 10 miles of you, and you know them and they know you, and they will walk you and handhold you through a claims process. And if you're getting an answer you don't like, we'll actually go to battle for you. Those services exist, right? That's what we do. So I'm up against call centers or direct-to-consumer businesses all the time. It is a night and day different service. So people think insurance is insurance, car insurance is car insurance, so the coverage is the coverage. No, you're buying a service. That's like saying every Italian restaurant is the same. Oh, chicken parmigiana at the Olive Garden is no different than my favorite restaurant. No, they're not the same.
No, it makes perfect sense. When you were explaining before about people not understanding, I was like, it's not like going to Staples and you can buy a stapler at Staples or Office Max and it's the same one. It's all about price.
Right, it's not a commodity. I mean, I get
It's
that
not.
the product is more and more treated like a commodity, but ultimately, it's the service you get when something bad happens.
So let's get into the marketing, the social media aspect of it. A few years ago, you started, which is, it's interesting now that, I mean, I've known you for a while, but I didn't know about your previous career or previous love or probably current love
Yeah.
for film and TV and production. I know that you've come up with a lot of very cool concepts over the years that I've been a part of,
Yeah.
which I loved. And now it makes sense how you're taking that passion and working it into insurance and making something that on the outside people would think isn't that exciting and making it educational and entertaining at the same time.
Thank you. Yeah, I think no matter what your business is, at least if you own a business, you can find a way to bring your true love, right?
Yeah.
Because no one grows up saying I want to be an insurance agent, okay? And if they do, they need psychological help, okay? So nobody, all right? And so, you know, I had to be sold on it. I eventually said, hey, this is a really good gig, but, you know, I had to find a way, hey, what's something that I can really enjoy doing
Yeah.
to the point where it doesn't feel like work at all?
Do you feel like it's kind of given you a renewed vigor for the business?
Yeah.
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 No, I mean, again, I've known you for some time now. I've known you for like 4 or 5 years. So I feel like I can see it. I feel like since you started doing that, there's an increased excitement just in general.
Yeah.
You know?
It's fun. You know, it's fun coming up with ideas. It's fun writing something, seeing it in your head, and then actually creating it and seeing it, you know, on video. Like that's just such a thrill for me.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love being creative. And the funny thing is that, you know, I still feel like I don't even know what I'm doing. You know, I feel like it's all this journey to kind of figure out what works best. But when I'm doing it, although there is a business intent behind it, when I do these videos, this sounds terrible, but in a way, I'm doing it for myself. I'm not trying to please an audience.
It's your creative outlet, basically.
Yeah, I'm not thinking, oh, I'm going to do this because I'm trying to get, you know, I want people to like this. I'm just coming up with an idea that I think is funny or that I like, and then I just want to do the best that I can do with, you know, the time that we have to do it. You know, we're not doing a Hollywood production here. You're doing a 30-second little, you know, whatever. But I just enjoy doing it. And so sometimes the ones that I'm like, that was okay, they do really well. And the ones that I really like
It's always
will
that way.
bomb. But it took me a little while to get to this point. But now, if I like a video that I did and it bombs, I don't give a crap. I just don't give a crap. I'm like, I liked it. Other people did get it. Whatever. It's all good.
The thing
Move
also
on.
is like you never know when something's going to happen down the road. That's the crazy thing about social media. Like recently I started getting all these YouTube followers in like the last 30 days. And I'm like, why the hell? Like what is going on? I haven't done anything different. As a matter of fact, we're shooting a little bit less content than we normally do, long form. And then I see that I had posted a short, which was talking about contractors and flippers. And this thing out of nowhere, like 9 months, how much long, we did that, what, 9 months ago maybe? 12 months ago?
Over a year ago.
All of a sudden, the thing had like a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand views. And a year later, I don't know how this happened. It hit the algorithm, whatever the hell's going on, exploded. Now the thing has 250,000 views in a matter of a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Because you just never know.
Yeah, that happened. Doesn't happen too often with me, but I did have a situation about 2 months ago. Posted a reaction video of this motorcycle accident, and it was pretty crazy. And so I did a reaction video of that, and maybe it got like 2,000 views, whatever. And then like weeks later, maybe a month later, I was away in Colorado, and my phone just would not stop. Bzz, 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 bzz. It just wouldn't stop. And within 2 to 3 days, it was at like 550,000 views and like climbing. I was like, what the hell is going on?
It just takes off, man.
It's crazy.
That's it. Like you just have to keep posting, and then one day it just blows up.
But you know what? But I'll say this, because you know, I've definitely gotten caught up before, and I think, and if anyone says they don't, they're lying, of getting caught up in the vanity metrics, right? How many views, how many likes, and all of that. But what I've seen is, I've got some videos that I've done where the algorithm hits a bucket, right? And all of a sudden it's going like international, and now it's going into the tens of thousands of views. But I'm not, I'm not currently getting any clients in India right now. So,
Yeah.
right, so those
Yeah,
10,000
yeah.
views I got in India are
Yeah.
not going, that's not helping me. Now, yes, in the scheme of things, you can say, hey, more views makes you more popular, and indirectly that will help, for sure, so I'll take it. But I've got videos that by, vanity metrics bombed, but I got all these DMs.
No,
right?
that's
And
that's
so-
very true, and it's smart because it's not about, it's really the quality.
Right.
So I'm sure if given the chance, you can have a video with 5 million views around the world, or you could have 20,000 views in like Nassau County,
Yeah.
and you would much more prefer
All
that
day.
because that's obviously going to monetize.
All day. I want the local views. I want the local engagement. I don't care about, I don't even, it doesn't even help me if someone in California, like,
Yeah.
is watching my stuff. I'm not doing business in California.
So I want to talk about the content itself. Like, I don't know if you're doing this on purpose or you're just doing it because this is part of your life and you're working into your life, but your family plays a big role, obviously, in your business.
Yeah.
You work with your wife every day, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Some people might be like, I don't want to work with my wife every day. For me, to be able to work with your significant other and have that common ground and be able to like bond and discuss that kind of stuff, I really like personally. But, you see the kids, you see your wife, the dynamic is great. I don't know her very well. I've met her like once or twice, but like watching the videos, like I love her just because of how you guys interact and everything. So just kind of like some feedback on that, how that came together.
Sure.
Are you planning the family dynamic? I feel like it probably is great for business, even if you're doing it subconsciously, because it makes you real, it makes you relatable.
Yeah. So, all right. So I mean, when Angela has been in videos, she gets, it's like a 10-to-1 ratio in terms of attention and compliments. She gets it all. It's all about Angela. So once I realized, okay, people like my wife a lot more than me, I'm going to start putting my wife in more of the videos. And she will be like, oh, really? I have to be in another video? That means I have to wear something nice. I'm like, no, just be you. Everyone loves it, But so part of it is because everyone loves her a hell of a lot more than me. So I'm like, all right, I got to get Angela involved here. The other part is, when I'm coming up with script ideas, well, I have to have other people. Now, I can use my team, and I have slowly introduced, having my team members in some of those skits. But it is easier to incorporate Angela, and we have a good dynamic,
Yes.
and we have an amazing marriage. We have an amazing relationship. I'm so lucky, and we truly do get along. We don't fight. Like, we have a great marriage. So, like, this is fun for us. We're just kind of having fun together, and she, thankfully goes along with whatever antics I come up with, and it works. She's a natural, but I'm also a little bit of a control freak. So when I write these things, I'm like, here's the line, and if she doesn't say it right, I'm like, do it again.
It's like that?
Oh yeah, it's like that. Oh yeah, it's like that. I'm like that. I'm like, no, you don't have the right tone. You got to say it like this.
It's just
Do it
interesting
again.
because I see you as this kind of laid back, easygoing guy. So when you tell me that,
Yeah, there
I
could
wouldn't have
be.
pictured it.
It's so when my videos are being edited, me and my guy Mike, shout out to Box Visuals, we'll Zoom and we'll edit he'll take my my script. He knows what the whole thing is. He'll put it together, and then it's okay, now let me go through. Maybe I don't want that take. Maybe I want it. Let me see some of the other takes. Or no, I'm going to choose, here's the music that I want for it. Here's how I want it to end. Like, I'm getting into all the details with it. And, but I lost my train of thought there. What was I saying? I don't know. But but yeah, I'm hardcore. Like,
It's back.
I'm hardcore, like, into the details. And because when I wrote it, I saw it in my mind. So my goal is to make it as close to what I envisioned. And so that's getting the lines right. That's getting, nothing's perfect, but yeah, we could have we could have clips of the background of all of my recordings, because I'll hear myself directing Angela or my kids or anybody else, and I laugh at myself. I'm like, ooh, I kind of sounded like a dick there, because I'm like, nope, do it again. No, that's not right. Nope, that's not how it is. But that's how I am. I want it done right.
Yeah, but the proof is in the results.
I appreciate it.
And it's obviously made an impact on your business, and you enjoy doing it, so it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Listen, I appreciate you coming down. It's always great to see you. If people are looking for advice, if they're looking for insurance, if they're looking for just discuss content creation, how it's changed your business, how do they get a hold of you?
Honestly, the easiest way to get a hold of me is just go to my Instagram page, because all my contact information is there. So that's j.r.orenstein, Orenstein. But yeah, if you put in JR, I'll pre-populate at that point.
There you go. Obviously, I'm the handsome home buyer. You have a house that smells like cat pee. You know I want to buy it. 516-777 sold. Don't forget about Sarazzolo, Cardinal Financial. You will thank me later. That's a wrap. All right, good to go.
Thanks, man.
That was good.